Are you ready?
Kind of.
Are you wide awake?
Yeah.
Excellent. Got your coffee?
Yeah. Thank you. I do.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
What's new?
Well, the shit hit the fan last night, as they say.
Not literally.
That would be messy. That would be very messy.
Maybe it's going to be. You never know.
It was messy enough.
Yeah.
There's been a cognitive decline in the last 6 months. That's what I say, and not just personally.
Well.
Babka's losing it.
Oh. Oh, you mean Babka's cognitive decline? I thought you were talking about yourself.
Yeah, I know. That's why I had to define it. I know my mental state is disorderly, as they say.
I don't know. I thought it was quite disorderly before as well, so I don't know.
Actually, my mental state is quite orderly.
Not yours.
Oh. So... No, I'm confused. Disorderly before. Yes. Well...
I don't feel very comfortable talking about things like that, like family things, on air. About people that are not here and cannot, say anything about it.
Yeah, I agree. It's not fair to not give a voice to the other side.
No, I mean, I know that you're concerned about things, but I don't think that this is something that we should talk about. Here. You know?
I understand that perspective. I can give you the argument from the other side, right? I mean, I see your side, and I don't see it as wrong. But there's also more than just that, which is that in my experience of working with people in coaching sessions, let's call them that, people have to talk about whatever it is that is on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they don't, you can't get to anything else.
Yes, that's true, but that's a coaching session. That's a private dialogue. I mean, I can talk to my therapist, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to record it and put it out in a podcast.
Yeah, I'm not making that comparison.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that it's an issue and it's important, and it needs to be discussed in a rational way.
Yes, I believe that.
And I also believe that, of course, people should be given the opportunity to present their opinion and defend themselves on the other side, but nothing on the radio or the television or any kind of media offers that opportunity. So, in a realistic way. So everything is...
I don't care.
An opinion and a perspective.
Yeah, but I think that half the things that are on the television or on the radio are wrong, so, I mean...
Yeah, exactly.
Why should I?
Exactly.
Why should I do the same if I consider that wrong?
I'm not saying that you should do the same or that you are doing the same. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah, but you can't use that as an argument. You can't use oh, but people do that anyway as an argument.
I agree. I'm not presenting an argument. What I'm saying is that it's impossible to open up topics without entering into that area, because otherwise you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You can't. It's impossible.
I think we've managed quite well until now, actually. We haven't really talked about anybody in particular while naming them and whatever.
Well, in general, yes. I mean, I don't like to name names too much, but what's obvious is obvious. Right? Even when you don't name names, it's still generally obvious who people are talking about. And when they say, well, I don't want to name names, you're sort of indirectly naming somebody anyway when you do that. So, said person in said situation, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's two sides to it. Number one, that you maybe shouldn't talk about people without giving them the opportunity to respond, but it's necessary anyway, otherwise you can't get anywhere in dialogue. You can't. I mean, it's like, give people the opportunity to respond where the opportunity exists. Where it doesn't exist, you just have to keep moving forward. I mean, that's how human communication works.
Look, I think there's just one solution of a problem, and that solution is we get the hell out of here.
I agree that is probably the best solution. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have a better solution than that.
Mm-hmm.
Than that one. So,
because what else can you do? I mean, the only thing you can do is you can ask very politely and nicely, please, can you be more considerate of people around you and their health?
yeah.
Yeah, and you did that already yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't work, did it?
According to you, and I believe you, no.
So what are you going to do? You can't force her to be more considerate, right? So in her own
you're
house.
right.
So the only solution is get out of her house. And I think that's the point. I think that's the whole point of not being considerate.
Yeah. My only issue is that's not the only issue, but it's a very important issue. Maybe it's the most important issue. I'm not exactly sure where it is on the scale. It's up at the top or near the top.
Uh-huh.
Definitely.
Hmm.
So it's a question of time priorities and organization.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that somebody wants to harm themselves and harm everyone else is very toxic.
Everyone, I don't know, everyone. Anyway, everyone. Anyway, I don't know if you saw that article that I sent you yesterday, but it was extremely interesting.
I only got a link
because
in my
the article
Messenger
talked
chat.
about a third-hand smoke, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a new thing, because every time that people talk about secondary smoke dangers,
Yeah.
when people inhale secondary smoke, they always talk about people being there while other person is smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And inhaling like the smoke that the other people are exhaling, and inhaling the smoke that comes out of the end of the cigarette, which is bad, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But the article that I posted is about a so-called third-hand smoke, which is all the carcinogenic particles that get soaked into the furniture, objects,
Mm-hmm.
clothes, hair, skin,
Mm-hmm.
just everything that comes into contact with smoke, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it stays there,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then when children come around and, cuddle or stick objects in their mouths, as children do, or do things like that, then they're basically ingesting, touching, and just absorbing this stuff. So the article basically, I don't know, because I saw a lot of them yesterday, so I don't know if it was the one that I posted,
Mm-hmm.
but it said it compared groups of teenagers. One of them coming from a family where somebody smokes and one of them not. And of course there was higher incidence of asthma, and of course there were all sorts of things like getting tired more easily, you know, get shortness of breath and things like that, blah blah blah. So anyway, but it was the first time
Anyway,
that I read about the third-hand smoke.
Could you print out the article and leave it on the kitchen table, or print out the article, give it to me, and I will leave it on the kitchen table, if you're uncomfortable doing that?
Yeah, I guess I could.
Okay, so when we finish this session today, yeah, if the very next thing you could do is go and print out the article and hand it to me, and I will take care of passing on the information.
Okay.
And then I will feel that we have taken the next step. That is.
What do they
important.
call that? Wait, they call that something. It's called something. Strewing? Is it called? Something like that?
I don't know what that is in your sentence.
When you leave clues, when you don't directly talk about something, but you leave things around.
You're manipulative, yeah.
For people to find. I know that people talk about it in a positive fashion. Yeah, I know it's manipulative. My mother did that all the time. That's where I get it from. Ha 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 ha. But they talk about it in a positive light in the homeschooling communities. Unschoolers do that with their children.
What did you say it was called?
I thought it was something like strewing or something.
You're not sure, are you?
No. Is
because
it like strewing? No?
Strewing. I don't know. Isn't there a verb construe, which means something?
I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea.
Don't know what it means.
Don't know.
Construe.
I don't speak English, but
I could ask Google.
People do it with unschooling. You know, they like, if there's a topic they would like their children to study, they'd leave books lying around and hope that kids will pick them up and get interested. Which is ridiculous, I think. I mean, what's wrong with going to your child and say, "Hey, I think you might find this interesting. Check it out." You know.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it's human communication, right? You don't have to leave little bombs places.
Yeah, there's a lot of indirect communication.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's very manipulative, and I understand it's completely passively aggressive in the situation as well, but you can use other people's
there's a whole
guns
lot of...
to, you know.
Yes.
Wasn't, because what she did yesterday was extremely passively aggressive.
Well,
extremely.
It was extremely self-destructive, and it was an attempt to destroy everyone and everything.
I don't think that she realizes that closing the kitchen door is not going to make it, you know?
Well, look, smoking in the kitchen puts the smoke into all the food.
Yeah, exactly. She just closed the door and she was like, "Oh, well, that's fine then." But that door doesn't even close. It's just a slidey door. So you can't even close it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you can't.
It was so wrong on every level.
But then you can't tell her that she can't smoke in her own house.
Well, you can't, I can.
Oh, well, okay.
Because the relationship there is different, so and I don't have a problem doing that. But of course, I would try to do it in a productive and constructive way, rather than just saying what it is that I think.
Do you mind if I Google that word, just to make sure that I didn't get it wrong? But maybe I did.
I don't mind. I did suggest asking Google during our conversation, but I didn't get a reply.
I don't think that it's a word that Google would know, because it is used in specific situations. You know, it's probably not its primary meaning.
Well, isn't there building it? Doesn't construe mean to build a legal case?
I don't know.
But I could ask. Okay, Google, define construe.
Here's the definition of construe. Interpret a word or action in a particular way.
Interpret in a particular way. As in, to understand the meaning of something
In particular
in a
way.
particular way.
Strewing is a
I read it as blah blah blah. Okay, that makes
strewing is
sense.
a great homeschooling idea to try with your children, whether you are an unschooling or a homeschool
Doesn't say what
family.
it is though.
The art of allowing your child to discover something you have casually left out.
Casually, that's funny. It's not casually, it's purposefully.
And
That's
the
ridiculous.
art of allowing your child to discover it. It's so funny.
That this is manipulating your kids by
Yeah.
leaving stuff that you want them to read in
do,
obvious
yeah.
places.
And also it makes them think that you think that they're stupid, because that's what I thought when my mother did that. I would be like, oh, there's a book on the kitchen table, I'll have a look at it. Oh, okay, I see what she's doing. Right, she must think I'm really stupid. And I'd put it down and just leave it. Right.
Yeah, it does convey that
'Cause
sort of thinking people are stupid idea.
it may have worked. It may have worked until I was about 13 or so, and then I'd figure it out, obviously.
So she thought it was smart, but you
Oh.
construed it as stupid.
Mhm.
There we go.
She thought it was smart, and that it was like, she thought, but I knew
Mhm.
that she thought, and I thought differently, but she didn't know what I thought.
Yeah.
She thought it
Well,
was smart, yeah.
Anyway,
But kids are not stupid.
as a person gets older,
Uh-huh.
they and you go into cognitive decline,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes less easy to suppress the real you. And what I mean by suppress the real you is hide your negative side, your negative characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
They bubble and boil more and more to the surface because of the lack of awareness and the inability to suppress them. And it takes a lot of energy and effort to suppress the negative side sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So however a person lives through their life, as they get older, the real them comes more and more to the surface. And something that a person is maybe able to disguise or hide when they're younger, either through focusing on work or wearing the right kinds of clothes or socializing with the right kinds of people or just doing whatever is the socially accepted cultural norm, it really does bite back later in life. It catches up with everybody, and that which is there but invisible when people are younger is extremely visible when the people get older. And that's something that a lot of people have a lot of problems dealing with. And another problem connected with that is the lack of awareness that a person has. That what's always been there to them and suppressed has not always been there to other people, because other people haven't seen that. So when the excuse is used a lot of the time, not all the time, oh, that person is just old. It's like, well, no, that person has sort of always had those characteristics, but they've been much less visible over time because they've been suppressed. And you know what? You know why Star Wars is so popular? Because it's true, right? The choice, that individual choice between the light side and the dark side, where Luke Skywalker's father, what was his name? Anakin, begins by choosing the light side, but ends up choosing the dark side. because those who are most drawn to the light are also most drawn to the darkness as well. Those who are strongest in the light are also strongest in the darkness, because each side has an equal pull on the person.
That makes sense.
And so it's interesting because the father chooses the dark side, but Luke chooses the light side. But his son, I think, or Darth Vader's grandson, I'm not quite sure what the lineage is, because I'm not, into all that stuff as much as everybody else. But Darth Vader's grandson chooses the dark side. And what it is a choice. That you can go one way or the other, and it's very often a submission to a particular perspective. And the characteristics displayed by said mentioned character have very much always been there, but were hidden by social constructs. Now that these social constructs are beginning to fade and beginning to be broken down through age, through time, through psychological decline, through mental decline, through the natural order of things, through the changing of circles, the distancing between people, the death of friends, etc. It comes more and more to the surface and becomes more and more visible, and it's I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but it becomes easier to see the evil. Let's take a really crass example of this. Mm-hmm. Let's take a woman who is young and beautiful, yet is perceived to be virtuous when not, because the beauty is disguising so-called negative characteristics of the character. Yeah, it could be a man. Right?
Humbug of Notre Dame thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be the man. It could be what's that film? American Psycho, I think. It's the guy who played guy who ended up playing Batman. I forget his name. Christian Bale. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's the smart, good-looking man. Works out a lot. He's got a great job.
He's a psychopath.
He's a psychopath.
Yeah.
Basically, and he's hiding within social constructs.
Yeah.
He has everything that a good, virtuous person is supposed to have.
It's his main weapon, basically. It's psychopaths and narcissists' main weapon.
What, hiding behind culture?
Yes.
Yeah, hiding behind social norms.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it all plays in their card, right? Because that's the only thing that allows them to be what they are, basically. Allows them to do what they do.
Yeah, and it's necessary as a person gets older to choose more wisely,
it's a bit like
more carefully, more adeptly.
It's a bit like a lion hiding in the grass. You can't see it because it's the same color as the grass.
Well, you can see it in the grass here because the grass here is really short.
Well, and green. And
green.
Lions are not green. Yeah, but
well,
you know what I mean.
Sick if they were.
I mean, obviously they don't live in Scotland. So in Savannah you couldn't see it.
No, it would be a bit crazy if they did.
Yeah.
I mean, people would not go walking out in the countryside.
And jogging in shorts and things.
Yeah.
While it's sleeting.
Although there are sharks.
Oh yeah, in October.
In October, but only in October.
It should be a great...
Shark Month.
That would be a really great name for a book. Sharks in October. Or something like that. The month of shark.
The month of the shark. Sharks in October.
Jesus Christ, it sounds like a book about menstruation.
The month of the shark. Sharks in October is not a book about menstruation.
No.
No.
No, but the month of the shark just sounds like
The shark of the month.
the days of the shark.
The days of the shark. It sounds like a World War II drama.
Oh gosh.
Um,
I think it sounds like a book about menstruation.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Because sharks menstruate often, I imagine,
In October.
in October. There you
Yeah.
go.
No, they come to the mouth to feed on the seal babies apparently. It's just quite gruesome. But there you go, it's nature.
Yeah, come to the wildlife centre to see the seal babies and the sharks feeding
But
on them.
then how is it I mean, aren't they dolphins? I thought sharks were scared of dolphins. I thought dolphins were like a shark police.
Dolphins are
What
the
are those-
shark police.
What are those fat
That would-
dolphins doing in
That
October?
would be a good book title.
Yeah.
You're asking the wrong person. I don't
What are
know
those fat
if
bastards
dolphins
doing in October?
I don't know what fat dolphins do in October, which would also be a great book title.
What do fat dolphins do in October?
I don't know. They eat.
I think
Maybe.
anything with October would be a good big title.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's for dinner in October? Or
Well, The Hunt for Red October. That was a book and a film, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that about communism
Um,
or about menstruation?
that was with Sean Connery.
Okay.
The Hunt for Red October. I don't know what it was about. I can't remember. Wasn't it about a Russian submarine? I don't know.
I don't know.
I think
Sean
Sean Connery played a submarine captain.
I was in love with Sean Connery when I was
Probably
younger.
Russian.
He must have been like 65 by then.
It must be like 165 by now.
I know. What do you mean?
What?
You mean I'm 115?
I don't know.
I'm not.
Maybe in dog years. I don't know.
Probably dog ears. Anyway, Sean Connery. Anyway, we were saying. What were we talking about?
James Bond 007, License to Kill.
Jesus Christ, the book I'm reading is just like our dialogues.
What?
It's crazy. You know, usually when you read a book, you don't know because you don't read books. I mean, you don't read novels, but usually when you read a novel.
I don't read, as you pointed out, I don't read books, I
No.
write them,
Exactly.
which made me feel good.
Anyway, so I know that was pretty cool when I pointed that out, wasn't it? It just
It made me feel better instantly.
made you feel like made you sound like a badass.
You turned bad into good instantly.
I'm good at that.
What?
I'm good at that.
Are
Anyway,
you?
it's one of my undiscovered talents.
Is that one of your superpowers?
You know, usually when you
I'll remind you of that at some point
cool.
when it's pertinent.
Usually when you pick up a novel and start reading it, within the first 2 chapters or so, you know where the book is taking you. You know? Like if it's a Stephen King's novel, shit hits the fan at the beginning and then you
Mhm.
know where the book is taking you. Like a woman has an affair and the guy straps her to the bed and then dies
What?
of a heart attack and then she's strapped to the bed
With a clown mask on.
mid sex, yeah. And
Is that in Stephen King books?
yeah.
Is that what you read about?
It was in one of the books. It was pretty freaky. So she ended up like strapped to the bed. This guy fell off the bed because he had a heart attack mid sex, yeah, and died.
Is this what women read about?
Shut up. So I read about. I don't
That's-
know about other women. And
That's pretty horrific.
then she had to figure out how to get out of the situation, right? And then there was a psychopath.
Bit late for that, isn't it?
And then there was a psychopath
How
on
did
the
she
loose.
get out of it? What did she do? She bite her arm off or something?
She didn't bite her arm off, but
She bit her leg off.
I can't remember.
You read the book. How could you not remember? It's a pretty fucking important part of the plot.
She didn't get killed by the psycho, that's for sure.
What, the one who had a heart attack?
No.
There was another psycho.
Yes.
What?
There was a psycho on the loose.
That's bad luck.
Yeah, I know.
What? Wait, no, wait. There's a psycho on the loose, and the psycho accidentally breaks into the place where the woman happens to be strapped to the bed.
Well, he
That's-
kind of wandered in.
Oh,
And-
what? Oh,
I didn't
Oh,
know. Maybe she was
must have been-
calling out for help or something.
must have been his lucky day. And the only person who heard her was a complete psycho.
Well, it was the end of the
And-
season, and it was a holiday resort.
End of the season of the psychos. What?
There was the end of the season, and it was a holiday resort. So everybody else was gone, basically. Anyway,
A
so
holiday? What kind of fucking holiday was she expecting to have?
well, obviously she was expecting to have an exciting holiday, but it didn't work out, did it? Because she was scoodly pooping with an old bloke. Anyway,
In a book written by an old bloke.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he's really cool. He's really cool though. Anyway,
What?
so
What?
he must be a complete psychopath himself.
No shit. No shit. Or maybe he's just a really nice guy because he gets it all out.
Where was I going with this? Oh, okay. So all the shit hits the fan in the first two chapters, yeah, and then you've got the whole book trying to do something, yeah. So she's trying to like get away and not be murdered by the psycho, whatever, yeah. And you just
It's a
know
happy
where
story.
you just know where it's going, right?
Well,
and-
it's not going anywhere happy, is
Or another book, this woman with elephants, and it wasn't by Stephen King. It was trying to
it? Well,
like
an elephant strapped her to the bed.
no, she was trying to find her mother, right? She was like a elephant worker or something.
What the fuck is an elephant worker?
Can't remember. She was researching the emotional reactions of elephants to loss. Anyway,
What was she like hiding their footballs or something?
I don't know. She was probably funded by the government,
That
and
makes sense.
and she was looking for her mother. Yeah, and ever since the beginning of
thought
the
she-
book,
She's looking
you
for elephants.
knew that she was going to be looking for her mother
And she
throughout the
di-
book, right?
wait, and she discovers that her mother is an elephant.
No.
No.
I can't remember how it
Her
finished.
father is an elephant.
I've read so many books that I can't remember the ending of any of them.
Have you got all the stories mixed up in your head?
Yeah, absolutely, especially the Stephen King's novels. And this book that I'm reading now, which is The Knot by Mark Watson.
The Knot.
The Knot, the one that begins with K.
That's a
Uh,
good title.
And I have no fucking idea what's supposed to be happening in the book. It's like
Is this like a famous author? Because I've never heard
No.
of this person.
no, it's not.
How
It
come
was-
he can get a book published and I can't?
I don't know. It was just a book that I picked off the sale in the library because I thought it had a nice cover.
They
Anyway,
were selling it because nobody wanted it.
yeah, exactly. So I'm reading this book and it's like looking into a person's head, right? It's like our conversations. It's like it starts somewhere and then it wanders off this way and then it wanders off that way and it's like, and then when I was a kid this happened and then this happened and then this happened and you see absolutely no relevance in those stories, right? It's like, and then my sister did that and then my brother said that and I'm like, what's your point? You know? It's like the stream of conscious, like in Mrs. Dalloway, right? The technique used is called the stream of conscience, which
Well,
is
so it's poets use. Poets use when they just write but don't
and
have
it's
any structure.
I don't know, but the
Stream of
Virginia
consciousness, it's called.
consciousness. Sorry, yes. So it's stream of consciousness. I think Victoria, what's her name?
Beckham.
No,
Victoria's Secret.
no. Who's the one who wrote Mrs. Dalloway?
Queen Victoria. Those are the only Victorias that I know.
Maybe she's not Victoria. What was her name?
Oh, fucking hell.
Who wrote Mrs. Dalloway?
Virginia Woolf.
Virginia. Jesus Christ, yes.
I actually know.
I think Virginia it was a thing that Virginia came first, the stream of consciousness. I'm not sure. Anyway, so the book is like almost like stream of consciousness, but in Virginia Woolf's novel, you still kind of knew where it was going. You know, there was a theme to it.
Okay.
And this book's just like, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know why it's called The Knot. I'm like,
Because that's what it does with your brain.
what's your point,
It-
person? Why are you telling me these random anecdotes from your childhood? Where are you going with that? And
Maybe nobody knows the writer for a reason. Maybe
I'm
they're
al-
not
yeah,
very good.
exactly. I'm already like 1/4 into the book, and I still don't know what's gonna happen. It's weird. It's really weird. And then I bought Norman Mailer novel,
Okay.
the Castle in the Forest. It's called, and that's a classic. He's a classic American author.
Wasn't he married to somebody famous?
Wasn't he married to Marilyn Monroe?
That's one of those things where I want to say yes, but I could be completely wrong.
Okay, Google. Who was Norman Mailer married to?
Lots of
Norman
people.
Mailer was married to Norris Church Mailer, Carol Stevens, and 4 others.
You
Let me know if you
six,
want me to tell you more.
six,
Yes,
he's
please.
six people. He was married to 6 people.
Uh-huh. Probably,
No,
probably women.
No, you'll get it by going the other way with the question. The question is important. You get it by asking.
Well, I should ask, who was he not married to?
No, you spoon. Okay, Google. Who was Marilyn Monroe married to?
Marilyn Monroe was married to Arthur Miller, Joe DiMaggio, and James Doherty.
It was Arthur Miller,
Arthur
not
Miller.
Norman Mailer.
Well, that's understandable. Arthur Miller was a playwright, no?
Yeah, I think so. Huh?
Didn't he write The Crucible? Or I just made that up?
I don't know. Okay, Google. What did Arthur Miller write?
Dun, 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 dun. To Google doesn't want to listen to you.
No, because we spoke at the same time.
No, wait. That's the wrong question as well.
Okay.
Okay, Google. Who wrote The Crucible?
Arthur Miller was playwright for The Crucible.
There you go. You see, you have to ask the question that limits the possible answers
Okay.
in order to ask Google the right question.
Mm-hmm.
Dun dun dun. Because obviously that guy was married 6 times, which is really screwed up.
Well, I guess if you're a
Screwed up person.
screwed up person, I wanted to say,
Artist.
I wanted to say if you're a famous writer.
Who's
but
going to marry someone like the 5th time? It's like, I see you've been divorced 4 times already. Let's get married.
a person with
Is it-
psychological problems?
I mean, it must be hard to find someone that dumb.
Well, no, because when you're young, you're dumb, kinda, right? Like,
Speak for yourself.
no, you think that, ooh, maybe I'll be the last one, you know?
Maybe I'll be. No one else has been able to, but maybe I'll be the one.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's not arrogant at all.
I can
is it?
understand. Yeah, no, it's not arrogant. It's just thinking that, oh, we're really in love and we've got this great thing going on, and maybe this is what it was meant to be. Maybe he just had really bad luck before and made wrong decisions, but maybe I'm the one who's
that's
supposed to change him.
Oh yeah, so
it's the women's psychology.
He's made all the wrong decisions before, but him choosing me is now the right decision.
He's screwed up, but I'll change him. I'll be the one who's
Okay.
going to change things
Do
around.
people actually?
you know?
I'm not sure. Like, I've heard people say that, but I haven't had any personal experience of that, where people say, "I'm going to change him." I've heard people say that philosophy exists, but I've never actually witnessed it in anybody's relationship.
Well,
where
that's what
somebody
I thought in our relationship.
Well, that
'Cause
you were
people
going to change
warned
me.
Yes.
That you were going to change me.
Well, people kind of
Well,
warned me.
change me from what to what?
Well, not change you, but it was like people warned me. People were like, "Oh, but he had so many girlfriends, and he's like this and that, and it's not a good idea," and things like that. And I'd be like, "Yeah, he was like that before, but we really have something special going on here. So I'm gonna be the person that he's going to stay with."
Well, they were all wrong, weren't they? They were all wrong. Why did you listen to them? They were all wrong. What terrible advice they gave you.
I know, right?
They were all wrong. I bet you none of them apologized.
You did have many girlfriends.
Sorry?
You did have many girlfriends, though.
Yeah.
Not at the same time, though.
What does many mean?
I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
More than 3.
Yes. That's true. I can definitely say that that's true. More than 3.
I would ask you more questions about it, but I doubt that you remembered half the time.
Oh well, what does that mean?
Well, you lived a wild life, didn't you?
Slightly, but I don't know. It's
You
more.
were a musician.
It's always more wild from the outside.
Well, it was
Right.
wilder than mine. Joan Wilder.
Yeah, that's funny. The John Wilder? I read all of your novels. Come in, come in. Is that how it goes? I think it goes
I know,
something like that.
something
Something
like
like
that.
that. Something like this.
Hey!
Right.
It's Juanita Wilder!
Juanita Wilder, you know, the woman who wrote all of the books that I read to you. Come in, come in.
Juanita.
Oh, this is the best day of my life.
Classic.
I have to watch that film again, just for that one scene. Just for that, the greatest 2 minutes of ridiculous cinema ever.
Classic.
Yeah, we can talk about my relationships. I don't have an issue with that. That was, Stefan Molyneux gave a speech, one of his talks, where he talks about not getting the right kinds of guidance when he was younger, and being taught indirectly that you could do whatever you want, that freedom meant doing whatever you want and not worrying about the consequences. And that struck a chord with me, where nobody ever sat me down and said to me, this is a good way and this is a bad way. Or what would have been really good is if somebody had pointed out, say, around the age of 15, what the different roads were and where they led and where you ended up. And nobody ever did any of that. And I was discussing this with a client last week, where the client is like, I made a lot of bad decisions, but I'm working on myself now, because the client's they're doing journaling and they're doing lots of therapy and they're in different groups, and they're like, I realize that all of that was wrong, and I'm working on myself now to try to change that. And the client is older than me, and it's like, I'm like, wow, there's hope, right?
Yeah.
There's hope for people, and so I didn't get all that stuff until I was about 30, right? Around the age of 30.
30 is the age.
And what it was an understanding of what I call the windows of opportunity. And I break it down into an overly simplistic principle, which is that every 5 years of your life, and it doesn't work exactly like that, but it's just easier to explain. Every 5 years of your life, you have to make a certain series of decisions in order for the next 5 years to be okay. And I realized when I was 30 that I hadn't made decisions that I needed to make when I was 20. And I started to track where, oh dear, I've got to do things faster or improve quicker now, because I didn't do it in the past. And I'm not quite sure what triggered it. I think what triggered it was the business, actually. It was the responsibility of running the business, making me realize that I've now got this responsibility to all these clients, and I need to keep my promises to them. And so it helped me reconfigure things. But there's other stuff that, do you know how little things can send you in completely the wrong direction? I don't know if that makes any sense, but let me give you an example. Like the first serious girlfriend that I had cheated on me a number of times. And I'd never considered cheating on anybody before that point as something that would ever happen in a relationship. And that just made me think, why the fuck should I care? Which is not the right reaction.
No.
The right reaction is, why did I make the wrong choice? And understanding that. But then nobody at that time was in any way or any sense helpful with that idea, and so that kind of caused me just like not to care, not to worry about certain things. It didn't mean that I made wrong choices or bad choices. It just sort of hung around in the back of my mind as I don't understand this, and I didn't understand it for a long period of time. So that kind of dragged on through everything.
You know, I kind of like life.
Sorry?
I kind of like life, and I kind of like how it works. And you know how you said that nobody ever kind of put you aside and talked to you and offered you guidance, like something that you thought that parents should do, right? Talk to you about these things and about relationships and.
Well, I think it should be what I call constant correction.
Yada.
And I'm not saying like correcting what's wrong. I'm just saying like course correction, like direction.
I think sometimes even when parents try, by the time we get to the teenage years, we don't really want to listen to what they have to say often. Okay. I'm not saying all the time. I'm not saying we're not taking it in. But often by the time you're a teenager, there's a kind of like a resistance type thing going on. And you know, it's that age when you realize that they're just humans and they might be wrong. So you kind of stop trusting them 100%. Because you start seeing their mistakes and their downfalls and things like that. So anyway, I used to think and be really anxious about it because of my own kids. You know, that parents should provide you with everything. Yeah, that parents should provide you with the perfect environment and the perfect guidance, and that their parenting should be perfect, basically, so that you still trust them when you're a teenager, so that you don't have conflicts and yada yada. You know, it's like I can't forget about anything, and I have to be perfect in order for them to have a perfect role model, and I should not have any negative impacts on them, basically. Yeah. And then I realized that it's not like childhood is the only time of growth, and you should have it all figured out by the time you're 20, and then just start off your life in a positive direction and keep going in a positive direction. I think that, and I see this in other people around me, yeah, that we constantly learn, and 30, for example, is the age when people do the most learning about themselves and their lives, and they work on transforming things into more positive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your client is older than that. Maybe she didn't have, you know, everyone's timing is different. So, I mean, for her, it's now, whatever age she is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's right. I kind of think that it's a positive thing that people have to go through that, and that people are forced to gut their childhood and gut their own learned concepts and habits and things that...
What do you mean gut their own childhood?
Well, you know, realize that something is wrong in my life, and then get back to the past, and then realize what the parents did wrong, what I didn't get that I should have gotten, what would have been helpful if I did have it, what happened to me in the past that caused problems or bad decisions in the present, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I who I am, basically? Where do my traits come from? You know, why do I make decisions like this, or solve problems this way, or why do I get angry, or why do I have flashbacks, or why do I get triggered by this or by that? And by them doing that, you know, by them getting to know themselves better at that time, they kind of, I think it's the time of a huge growth. You know, people get to know themselves better, and to grow, and to just understand life better and psychology and everything. And I want, not that I don't see anything wrong with it anymore. You know, when I got into that phase, I thought this feels shit, and I don't want my children to go through anything like this ever in their lives, right? I want them to have the perfect basis and to make the best decisions ever since the beginning of their life. But on the other side, if that happened, then they would not go through that growth and would not feel that transformation. You know what I mean? It basically, what I'm trying to say is it's okay to fuck things up to a certain extent, because it allows for the children to figure some things out by themselves, and it allows them to grow. They need a little bit of adversity to be able to grow. So I'm not saying that we should fuck things up for them consciously, but I'm saying that it's unavoidable, because you cannot do things perfectly as a parent, because you're just human. You're not perfect, right? So it's, first of all, unavoidable, and second of all, it's not negative. It's just life, and that's how it works, and it allows for growth, unless it's too fucked up, right? And I was thinking another thing, for example, like my mom used to tell me that when she was like 28 or, you know, or beginning of 30, she'd always be like depressed at her birthdays, 'cause she'd be like, you know, she'd feel like her whole life has finished and there's nothing else for her to, nothing new for her in front of her. Just the same old, you know, work, kids, housework.
Wait, tell me, what did your mother tell you again?
She told me that she was depressed when she was like, oh, it was my 26th birthday and I was so depressed because I felt like my life was over.
Yeah, I don't understand why she felt like her life was over.
Because of the routine, you know. She felt like there's nothing new waiting for her out there. First of all, it was the socialist Slovakia, remember, so there was no traveling, really. Second of all, she was stuck in a job that made not that much money. You know, she had the next 20 years ahead of her of taking care of kids and not having any money. Just, she wasn't very happy anyway. So, and she always saw the transformation age. She saw it as, she always called it the midlife crisis, right? So like when my father would do things when he was 40 and he would do things like get rollerblades and start rollerblading or something, you know.
Did he do that?
Yeah.
That's a bit insane.
I know. So when he was doing things like that, like new things, trying new things and
I'd say it's not insane.
Try to have fun.
It's I don't know what it is.
It's not bad. I mean, what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it.
It's fun and it's exercise, right?
Yeah, actually, I take that back. It's not insane. There's a certain level of
I thought it was positive.
The curiosity.
And she would like laugh at it, and she'd be like, "Oh, it's midlife crisis, right?" And I thought midlife crisis is not a negative thing. It's a positive thing, because it's when people start having a little bit more space in their life and they can get back to themselves and start doing things for themselves and trying new things, and that's when they realize that their life is not over.
Well, I think it's just an easy phrase, isn't it? Midlife crisis is just a kind of easy phrase. So because crisis could happen every day, right?
Yeah. But crisis is not a bad thing. That's my point.
Yeah, I think you've sort of given a get out of jail free card to parents, though, a little bit there, by saying that you don't have to be you don't have to be perfect. Now, I'm not saying you have to be perfect.
You
but
cannot be personal. You cannot.
Okay, but you can be helpful.
Of course, you have to try your hardest. I'm not saying no.
Oh, you know my
You know.
opinion about it. I really don't like the try your best thing. I think that just avoids any fact.
You have to
It's
do
too
all
much
that.
of a wishy-washy phrase.
Okay, let's just say you have to stop smoking, okay? You know what I mean? You have to do everything that's in your power.
Well,
But you also have
that's-
to realize that your power is very limited and that there are going to be things that the kids have to figure out by themselves. Whether
yes,
you like it or
but you
not.
want what parents, all parents, I don't know, but what? Here's my intention, because I can't talk about all parents.
Mhm.
Maybe I can, I don't know, but my intention is to treat parenting as giving children a springboard, in the sense that the next generation need to stand on the shoulders of the previous generation to see further and go farther. And I think that that's the best way to look at parenting, where if you can make progress from where you've been, then you allow opportunities for the next generation. Like if you can look back at your past and say, I built this into this, then your children can see that it's possible to change things.
Mhm.
And I think that is good. That the problem arises when children look at or analyze their parents' lives and go, well, you started with this, but now you've got this, and that's not progression. Yeah, and then it becomes an issue, because you're not giving your children this idea of a positive future that exists.
As I said, obviously I'm not I don't want to like glamorize bad parenting as you know, it's okay as long as you're growing or whatever. I mean, I think it's a really difficult topic.
Well,
I think it's
it is and
really
it isn't,
difficult.
because when you break things down, you've got a choice to make, which is, to do what is right or to do what is wrong, and you can argue about what is right and what is wrong, but
And the thing is that
good is obvious to everybody.
I know, but not to people who don't do it. It's not that obvious, because when you're doing bad parenting, okay, let's just call it that, even though it's a very shifty term. Anyway,
Shifty, I like that. Shifty term.
when
She
you
was
when
using
you when
shifty
you make
terms.
bad decisions in your parenting, it's because you're struggling with yourself, right? You cannot parent well until you've figured things out for yourself, and it's a constant struggle, isn't it? It's only bigger or smaller, or less or more obvious, or less or more serious. But we're all in a constant struggle with ourselves. We're all constantly trying to improve things. We're all constantly trying to grow, and trying to overcome our own little problems. Yeah. Only maybe my forgetfulness that I'm constantly trying to overcome or whatever. Yes, just first thing that came off the top of my head is maybe slightly less serious than somebody's drug problems or somebody's depression or somebody's whatever else they might be struggling with in their life that influences their parenting hugely.
Yeah, I think
You know?
the biggest problem comes from children thinking that they don't have the power to change things. They don't have the power to make things better.
Mm.
That their choices don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my biggest problem with school, my biggest problem with society,
Yeah.
my biggest problem
I
with
grew up in a world like that,
with
and it's not nice.
overbearing
Yeah.
helicopter parenting, which is that children start to think that they don't have a choice and they can't affect things
Mm.
and they don't matter so much. And it's one of my goals to allow the children to make decisions that
Mhm.
have consequences and to suffer as lightly as possible the
Mhm.
consequences of those decisions. Because one of the great benefits that I think that exists in school is that if you make a mistake, the punishments are not extremely severe.
Mhm.
The punishment, you get punished,
Mhm.
obviously. Yeah, and you can argue that punishment is the wrong road to go down, and I sort of agree with that. But I think that consequences are really important.
Mm.
And it's really important that if you make the wrong decision, that there's a negative consequence there. I don't think that people should necessarily have suffering, but I think that there should be an understanding of this is wrong. It's not constructive for me to have that type of choice in my world. So I need to make better decisions in the future, and they have to come to that conclusion themselves. It can't be sort of dictated up to them that you made that choice and that choice is wrong. It's got to be sort of self-evident, which is interesting because that phrase is used in sort of the American Declaration of Independence, and it's a really powerful phrase, self-evident, like unquestionably self-evident that you're going to be a fool if you argue otherwise.
Mm.
So it's got to be self-evident to the children that that decision was not a good decision. It can't be something that's imposed upon them. And that's really hard because parents want to guide their kids in the right way. And guidance is direction, and direction is often a sort of a directive or a specific perspective. And it can be overbearing on the children at certain points in time.
Do you think we should get Will out of football and put him to dancing? Because I thought he would be really good at dancing.
Okay, my answer to that is yes. But here's what I'd rather.
Mhm.
I'd rather he did both.
Okay. Because I was thinking leaving him in a group or in a class where he's not good at it and he's not going to be very good at it. I can see that he's not really
Well, here's
talented in that area. I think it's counterproductive when it comes to his self-esteem.
yeah, I understand that, and I think you're right about that. And what I would do is I'd ask Will, would you like to go to a dance class? But here's the point.
Mm.
It'd have to be a really good dance class. Okay?
Lossy mouth.
I'm not happy with it being an average
Lossy
dance
Mouth
class.
has the best dance school.
Yeah,
Oh.
because what I like about the football is that everyone is the football element is irrelevant to me.
Mhm.
It's the supportive group.
Yes,
the group of
that's
people
true.
is
It's very positive.
is really positive,
Yeah.
and I think that because the other kids are like, come on, Will, you can do it, and you know
Yeah.
they're helping him along, and
It's really nice.
That's-
I've noticed that.
that's what I like about it.
Mm.
And the fact that I know we disagree on this point, but I think that it's really important to have winning as a focus, not the main focus, but as a focus. Because if you don't go into anything believing that you can achieve the best results, you don't achieve them at all. The box, and this is a really bad example, but it's the boxer going into the boxing fight. If you don't believe you're going to win, well, you'll be annihilated
Mhm.
by the other person's overbearing self-belief that they're going to destroy
I
you.
saw this great boxing match last night. It was
What?
by my
Boxing match.
my
Where was I?
my the old class that I used
Yeah.
to go, yeah? One
Mhm.
of the girls that used to go to the class,
Mhm.
she was crazy. She was like, "Oh, I'm training every day. I'm here every day," you know?
Mhm.
She went to boxing every fucking single day. And she was a little girl. She was she might have been like 14 or
Mhm.
something.
Mhm.
And I saw her fighting yesterday.
Mhm.
And she was unfucking stoppable. It was the third round, so they were
Mhm.
both a bit slower.
Oh yeah,
But
you're knackered
she
by the
was
third round.
hammering that girl. She was like, the entire round,
Mhm.
she was advancing and the other girl was retreating. The
Mhm.
entire time, right?
Mhm.
There was absolutely no balance. She just completely hammered that person. I was
Mhm.
like, go girl. I think she's 14 now, so she must have been even younger than that when I went there. She must have been 13.
Mhm. Yeah,
It
yeah. I
was
mean,
really cool.
get them started early
They
in that sense.
they always post videos from competitions
Yeah.
from my old boxing class.
Well, I think that
Sorry.
I think that a good
Off
no, that's
topic.
cool. No, it's okay. I think that a more arts orientated approach is worthwhile focusing on for 6 months to a year.
Because he's music orientated. He's
He likes
always been ever since he was a baby,
he likes the music. He likes
and he
the
likes the rhythm and
he wins the dancing.
yeah, he likes
He wins
the
he wins the
dancing.
dancing competition
Yeah.
every time that we
Uh-huh.
have a dancing competition. And
And
that doesn't mean that he's great at it, but it
no,
means that
but
he likes it.
he's got the ear for rhythm and for music. So he's got something that Sora, for example, never showed, which is the ear for music and the dancing and everything. Zora's a bit like your mum in that area. She's not awfully gifted, if you know what I mean. I mean,
She's not been awfully gifted recently, except with crying every time I ask her to tidy her room.
I've seen her at that dance class when he was like Jasmine's age. And you know
Mhm.
how Jasmine is picking up the moves really well,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
Jasmine is obviously very physically gifted. She can pick up, it's like from football to dancing to just about anything.
Yep.
And Zora is super flexible, but she had absolutely zero rhythm. She had no she just didn't have the moves.
Mhm.
You know, she couldn't copy the moves that were being done.
Yeah, let's agree to move forward with the dance stuff as quickly as possible. Yeah.
Aussie mouth.
Yeah, let's find out what the. I mean, obviously it's not the best time of year, but that doesn't matter.
Because when I was looking, no, it might be a good idea to start after Easter break. Why not? I was, yeah, Aussie mouth would be good. Is it okay to use the car though? We could fill up the petrol tank once in a while, and that would make it better, right?
We could. Let's just say that everything has to be balanced,
Yeah.
right? Let's just say that everything has to be orientated in such a way that that we're not taking any advantages
Yeah.
of that element of the situation here.
Well, the football stuff is going to ease up a bit because it's going to be in the park now. So
Oh, the football's going to be locally in the park outside.
yeah.
Well, that's a reason why not to stop the football then, because that's another
That's
reason.
true. It's not an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's next door.
I would still like to go to the gym and the library though, on Saturdays, if it's not a problem. It's not too far away, is it?
No, it's not. It's not a problem if. I think that things need to be organised so that more than one thing is happening,
At the same time.
sort of at the same time, so that
Uh-huh.
we make the best effect. So like I'm always thinking, what else can I do if we're going to be there, right?
Mhm.
What else
Yeah.
do I need? What else can I do during that period of time so it's not wasted?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if we travel somewhere, like
Yeah, I
if
know.
we're going somewhere for a period of time, I'm like, okay, if we're going to be out, what else can we do while we're out? Where
Yeah.
else can we go? What else can we see?
Yeah, but we can't. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Yes. Yeah.
Like for example, today, like my brain is like, well, if we're going to be in Falkenbergs at the library,
Uh-huh. We could go for a walk.
and
or
then
something.
after that we could walk. I don't know, the windy walks, or
Yeah, we could have a
Um,
picnic or something, because everybody's
could-
going to be hungry by then.
yeah, or we could just go along the coast and have a walk along. I do like little
Mhm.
walks along the coast.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. There's
I think
always-
the windy walks would be nice today. It's kind of in the woods and a bit sheltered, and we're always on the beach. We haven't been in the woods for quite a while.
it's a bit of a boring walk, but because it's just like a path that goes up to the top of a hill. It's nothing special, but
Well, but so is walking at the sea, right? I mean,
no, the sea is always more dramatic.
it's also
And
more
it-
windy though.
Yeah, but the kids always have fun when we go to the beach. You know, like it's like the waves and the water. And it makes it sort of fun
That's
automatically.
true. We could do that as well. yeah.
Well, I'm not saying do that today. I'm just saying that walking in a path through the forest is nice. It might be slightly limited, and we don't want to spend too long doing it and boring the
I
kids.
get it. I get it. They could climb the trees.
It's not that there are not those kinds of trees.
Well, they did climb the trees before when we went for the walk. Remember? We climbed the tree by the lake.
Yes,
Two of them.
there are different types of. They're not the same kinds of trees. Okay. There are not the same. Don't look at me that weirdly. They're not the same kinds. Okay, you'll understand when you go there. Okay, even if
I
you
thought
don't.
we were talking about the place where we've been to, by the lake. No?
No, that's the lake.
Yeah.
The.
Is that not the windy walks?
Oh, absolutely no. The windy walks is on the other side of the
Oh,
village.
okay.
You didn't know it's different.
I've never been there then.
Ah, okay. So the windy walks is. There's one hill
Mm-hmm.
next to Falconhurst. There's only one hill. Like
Mm-hmm.
when we go to Bucky, we are on the edge of that hill.
Okay.
It's a roundabout. You know the roundabout on the other side of Falconhurst. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think so.
You drive past the lake, past Gordon Castle,
Mhm.
and go up to the roundabout. That
Uh-huh.
roundabout is at the bottom of the hill,
All right.
and the walk is up that hill.
All right.
And I'm not sure there's anything. I'm not sure there's a viewpoint at the top. I can't remember.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Maybe they've added sort of nature boards and things because maybe it's been updated in the last 20 years or something. I don't know.
Maybe we could have a look at that.
But it's a different type of forest. That forest is like around the lake is like the ancient forest.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 500-year-old trees and
Yeah, weird things with big pine cones.
yeah, and it's like an what's the word, arboretum or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the windy walks is more like a forestry commission walk, where it's a modern planted woods,
Mm-hmm.
which don't really have the same kind of atmosphere. But I'm sort of painting it in a negative light, but we
You
won't
are.
know. We won't know until we go there
Mm-hmm.
what it's like. But what I'm saying is, don't expect too much from
No.
it.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't. I don't know.
But it would take about
it
would take about an hour to walk to the top,
Okay.
and it's just it's just what it says. It's just a windy path
Uh-huh. That might be nice.
through the forest. And if you haven't been there before, I mean, that's probably a good enough reason to go, just to see what it's like.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
There's other weird stuff around there. I've seen pictures of there's a pyramid somewhere on top of one of those hills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Welcome to the Masonic culture.
Pyramid in Falconhurst
Well, they like to
in
leave.
October.
They like to leave their mark
Mm.
on the territory to remind people who's in control. They like to leave their capstones in different places, like giant pieces of concrete.
I could do a shorter cardio then, because I'll be taking a
Oh
walk.
no! Don't. No. Why do shorter? Do more. Why do less? Do more.
Yeah, I always try to be fast when I'm in the fitness suite, whatever they call it,
Sweet.
because I don't want you guys to have to hang around too long. I try to fit it all in 1 hour.
Well, it's kind of it's not a bad place there because there's a toilet and
Yeah.
there's a place to chill out and there's, you know, I'll tell you what was funny the other day, actually, because on the topic of libraries, because who would not like to go into a library, right? Who would not be curious and interested about a
I loved
centre?
my library
Yeah, I
when I
know,
was a kid.
I know. So
Yeah.
the other day we give Dad a lift into town, yeah,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, okay, Dad, we'll meet in the library at 12:30, yeah,
Mhm.
and so we're in the library at 12:30, and he's nowhere to be seen.
12:15.
Well, we were there at 12:15, and
Yeah.
then we were waiting,
Uh-huh.
and he was nowhere to be seen.
Uh-huh.
So I pop outside, and he's sitting on the bench outside the library.
Yeah, I know. He told me that when he came in.
Yeah, and I said, oh, how long you been here? He said, oh, it's like I was. He said, like, oh, I was waiting for you, like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, but when I said meet in the library, I meant I meant in the library, not
Outside.
sitting out in front of the library. But that's and my first thought was, oh, he's smoking his pipe, so he's having a smoke. But he wasn't. He was just sitting there.
He told me that he got in the library like 8 minutes before 12. And there was nobody there. Which is weird because I was there about 10 minutes before 12. And he was like, oh, I came here, but it was early, and so I decided to go. He went around the corner and got something to eat, I think he said. He got like a sausage roll or something. And then he went back and sat on the bench because he thought it was a nice weather and yada yada.
Well, that
yada,
doesn't make
yada.
sense because the bench is right in front of the entrance.
Uh-huh.
And he would have seen either you or me walking in.
And I was in particular looking around when I saw you coming down the hill from the park.
Mm-hmm.
That was after I was standing
Yeah,
in
he
front
wasn't
of the
there.
library just looking
He wasn't there.
for people. He wasn't there.
He wasn't there at all.
He was grabbing his food at that point in time, and then he came back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you're saying that he said that he was there early, nobody else was there, and then he went
Well,
away
he
and
said
came back.
he came around early, didn't see anyone. He probably didn't look very. But I must say, I was in the library and I was walking. I was not in the place where you would look for me. I was on the other side and I was looking at books. So it was easy for him to miss me, unless he went through all the shelves. Okay, so he was there earlier. When I was there, didn't see me. I don't blame him for it because I really was kind of looking at books, and he went to grab food.
Interesting. All very interesting.
Anyway,
Yes.
what did I want to say? I wanted to say something about old people. Back when we were talking about old people.
Wait a sec. A break with no pause.
Yes. I'm so looking forward to the gym.
Yeah?
I didn't do my abs yesterday.
You wanted to say something about old people.
Yeah, I forgot what I wanted to say really. I just wanted
Old
to say it
people are
must be hard to take care of old people that are losing it even more than your mom, because
Yeah, you can't. The thing is that it's hard to take care of people who don't want to be taken care of.
that's the thing, that they're like kids, but worse, because they can do things that kids can't, and they've been used.
Well, they have permission, right? They have
And they've-
permission because they're adults
and they have
to do stupid things.
it's not that, it's that they're used to doing normal things, right? And when they come to the point where they can't do normal things because that's not good for their own safety, right? You're not in a position to not let them. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. You're not in a position to not let them do it. And
Yeah.
but this is the point. There comes a point in time where it becomes
Where you have to.
where it
And-
becomes your duty
Yeah.
to stop them,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not, and whether they like it or not. There's a line in it becomes your duty beyond that point in time
I remember.
to actually say, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah. I
And-
think it's a very, very difficult thing.
And it's difficult, but
balance.
it's not. Look, it's not wrong to do it.
Yeah, but
okay?
you have to. It's also about, obviously it's different to. For example, if someone's got Alzheimer, right, you're not gonna let them go to the shops by themselves because they're very likely to forget where they live, right? But I'm trying to say it's all about balance, right? Yeah, it's all very individual, and it's like I don't know. I remember my mother being exasperated in my grandfather's final years because she was like his house is falling apart and it needs work done, but he won't let me touch it. Right? She was like, it's damp, it's falling apart. It's like his wall is cracked and his windows are drafty and she was like, I'd like to change his windows at least, right? So that he's warm in the winter, but he won't let me touch it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because he doesn't want any
those things.
fuss. Because he just wants to finish his life the way he's used to it. And he doesn't want any changes. He just wanted to, he knew it was the last years of his life, and he just wanted peace and quiet and have it exactly the same way that he was used to it for 50 years, right? And it's like, so what are you gonna do? Are you gonna change his windows because you care about him and his health and the fact that his house is warm, or are you going to leave it because you respect his wish for privacy and calm and peace and things the way they are? You know what I mean? It's tough decisions.
Well, as they say, it is and it isn't, because I go through the same kinds of conversations with my clients,
Uh-huh.
some of whom are making difficult business decisions.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, it's a tough decision. And I'm like, well, it is and it isn't, because once you've made the decision, based on all the information that you have, you're doing the right thing. Now, it might come back to you later on that there is information that you did not process and did not include that was important. But you'll never know that unless you make the decision, because that information, that the feedback won't come back until you make a decision. So I fall on the side of, it's always better to make the decision and see what happens rather than live and wait for what you're not sure about. But it's still not 100%, right? Because there's still the right time to do things.
Yeah.
And it's like wait and
Yeah.
wait for the right moment. But you still have to either A, act now, or B, be ready to act very quickly and
Yeah.
very soon.
Well, my mother made the decision not to go for it because she decided, it's his last years of his life and he should be able to have that the way he wants to have that, because nobody's gonna give it back to him, right? There's no point making someone unhappy in the last 2 years of his life, right? If you don't 100% necessarily need to do that. So she went for that, but you get my point, right? You get my point that there's a yeah, I don't think it was that hard for my mum, because I told you that she never really had much respect for other people's wishes when it comes to children either. But for people who respect children, and their boundaries and their privacy and their wishes, and treat children as adults, I think it's equally. I think it's even harder with old people, because if your basic premise is disrespect, then I imagine it's not that hard to disrespect the old, but you know what I mean?
Well, disrespect is not a good basic premise to have. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, obviously.
Because I'd agree with that.
No, I'm saying
That's what
I'm
you're
saying that it was probably not that hard for my mum because she never really respected other people's choices or preferences or opinions to a large degree. Okay, maybe when they were adults and her equals, but
Well, look, when change is necessary. No, I'm not. Understand the phrase carefully. When change is necessary,
mhm,
keyword necessary,
mhm,
you give people the opportunity to change. You give people a very good reason to change.
mm.
And if they don't, you continue anyway.
Anyway, I think there's a moment where the dynamics flip once the children start actually taking care of the parents. And
Yeah, that's
by taking
what
care
I'm saying is there's a line somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a line exactly. There is a line where it just goes completely flip, right?
Oh yeah.
And you have to
yeah,
take
yeah.
charge of an adult. And that's hard because officially that adult still has the right to make their own decisions, but you know that they're not good decisions. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and also
they're used to it. They don't want it. When you're a
Yeah.
kid and you're always used to not having say, or when you're a little kid and you're always used to other people making the final decision, you don't know any better, right? But when you're an adult and you've had a whole life of making your own decisions, and suddenly somebody tells you they're not the best decisions and you should kind of let go and let me lead, then it must be really hard for the old people to let go and say, okay, you're right, I'm old, I'm not as proficient anymore, and let's do it your way. I don't think that's even possible most of the times.
yes, but it's necessary some of the time.
Yeah, but it's always going to be struggle because that said old person is not going to give up their power willingly.
I understand that, and yet at the same time, it's only a struggle if you want it to be a struggle. Because, as you said to me recently in a conversation we had, you have to trust me. And it's no different in that relationship. You have to trust that the other person, you have to trust that your children are going to make the right decisions for you. You have to trust.
yes, but that's what I'm saying. That trust is very often not there. Just look at look at the relationship and see how every single parent, well, not every single parent, but how most parents, treat their adult children. You should do this, you should do that, and you shouldn't be doing that, and that's the wrong decision.
Well, everyone's got an opinion, but not everyone's got a series of logical and progressive facts that they can string together in order to explain rationally why X is better than Y. Because if they did have that, they'd suddenly realize that X is not better than Y.
Yeah, but my point is not that. My point is the psychology of parent towards a child never changes, even when the child is an adult.
Oh, welcome to one of my teaching points.
So, exactly. So, for that psychology to suddenly flip completely the other way around, and for the parents to say, oh, my child knows better, when their entire life, until well into the adulthood of the child, they had the opposite stand. You know what I mean?
Welcome to intelligent decision-making processes.
I mean, you're 44, right? Your mother is 75, and she still thinks that she knows better. I don't know, maybe she does, but it doesn't matter. That does not matter. What's real does not matter right now. What matters is the psychology, yeah? So she still thinks that she knows better than you, that you should do what she says, that she's the one who knows what's best for you, that you should do what she thinks you should do because she knows better. Yeah. She's not going to just suddenly flip over and say, I trust you in making huge decisions and make life decisions for me and decide how I live or whatever, That's not gonna happen.
Welcome to one of my teaching points,
Yeah.
which is that children spend their entire lives trying to please or appease their parents.
And that's where the struggle with old people comes from. That they're not going to suddenly start trusting their children when they should,
Yeah.
And then you've got those conflicts where the person is really old and really stubborn and can't see what's best for them according to you because you're at the prime of your age and you see what's best and you see clearly what decisions need to be made and they're stuck in their old ways and you want to help them but you can't because they don't trust you because you're their child and you don't know anything according to them because they're more experienced and then you've got the clash and the frustration. Anyway,
it's
not there yet, but as they'll get older, it's I've seen it before.
Yeah, but I think we both realize that as you get older, you have to learn to let go.
Yes, but at the same time, it's really hard because.
You know why it's really hard? It's really hard. Sorry to interrupt, but it's really hard because it's very hard to let go of something you've never held on to.
Yeah, it's the illusion of power, which you never really had.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. This belief that there was some power that you had or you held, but it was never really there at all. It was just an illusion created by the constructs of society around about you.
The more I live, the more I realize that religion really does make things easier for people, doesn't it?
Yeah, easier is not always better.
I know, but in situations like these, for example, and I'm not saying it's better, I'm just saying that it kind of makes it easier to deal with life.
It's not that it makes it easier, it's that it's got a set of instructions that are really useful.
Yeah, and they're kind of practical.
Yes, and
in relationships.
Yes, there are obviously endless contradictions, but I don't.
Yeah.
It's not contradictory that there are contradictions because what's good today might not be good tomorrow. That's the wisdom that comes with age is understanding that good becomes bad over time unless you transform as a person. And bad becomes good over time unless you continue to transform as a person, because you can't wear the same clothes in summer that you wear in winter. You've got to continually adapt. Now, there are moral underlying foundations that are unchangeable, just as like we live on planets hurling through a solar system, thou shalt not kill is a pretty good foundation to hold on to. Yet people still have to transform, and it does mean letting go of things as you get older, not continuing to try to hold on to how things were, because you don't want to be driving a car today that was built 20 years ago. You don't want to be,
unless you're your dad.
Well, you see, that's symbolic of the problem, right? You don't want to be pulling out food from your fridge that was put in your fridge 20 years ago. You
unless you're your dad and it's cheese.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. With the technology and technological things, and we understand that. You don't want to be living in a house with a heating system that's 100 years old. You don't want to be doing that. That there's
I think that I like the basic premise of religion that you have free will, but you have no control. Do you know what I mean? You have free will, and you have the ultimate responsibility to make good decisions. Yeah. But at the same time, you have no control over the bigger happenings in life. Like, say, natural disasters or things that just happen.
well, yeah.
A death of a relative
You're welcome
or
to
something.
welcome to teaching point 101. Control what you can control.
Yeah,
The
and
rest is irrelevant.
and I just like how religion kind of approaches it. Right, you have no control over these things, but you have the ultimate responsibility of making the right decision in those situations that you can't control. I think that's great. I think that works. You know.
You know,
I think
one
that
of the
kind
most
of
powerful,
balances
one of the
things.
most powerful elements of at least the Christian religion is this idea that you will be marked or graded or assessed at the end.
It's like the ultimate what you call it?
Test.
No, the accountability.
Yeah. It's
The ultimate accountability
It's the
group.
clincher, right?
Is that you're watched. You're being watched. You're
Well, it's
accountable
this-
for everything.
Well, it's this idea that let's just take the stupid visionary basics, right? Which are, I think wrong, but it frames the mindset in the right way, which is you get to the gates of heaven, yeah. And somebody says
Give me the pen.
you've done
Oh.
somebody says you've done really well.
I wanted to use it.
Did you want to write something?
Yeah. Thanks.
So you get to the gates of heaven,
Yes.
and somebody says, "Oh, well, you've done really well, but here's who you could have been."
Is that a thing?
It's a thing in my mind,
Oh, okay.
and it could. I haven't heard it specifically used by any preacher, priest, or pastor, but I imagine in my own mind it would be a very powerful way of presenting that perspective.
I like the gift thing. I like the gift thing. The story about the three sons that have been given golden coins. Yeah, and one of them like put them in the ground in the garden and leaves them there, and then another one, I can't remember the story exactly. Another one spends them or something, and the third one like uses them to invest and grow the wealth. Yeah. And then they're being held accountable after like a year later. The person who gave them the coins comes and says, well, so what have you done with the wealth? And one's like, okay, well, you've spent it. And the other one is like, oh, I've done really well. I kept it all here. Check it out. And the person's like, no, you haven't done well because you haven't used it. Yeah. And only the third one that invested them and made them grow was considered doing well. And the point of the story was that you're given gifts, and it is your responsibility in life to use those gifts. Because if you're given gifts and you don't use them, like talents or whatever, your personality and so on and so forth, if you don't use them, then that's an offense. Basically, it's the same as doing a bad thing.
Yeah, it's the double-edged sword that everything can be used for good or bad. It's it's how you use it, or how I define that is it's the decision that you make.
Yeah.
I
So
think.
it's not only bad to use them for bad, but it's equally bad to not use them at all.
Or to not use them for good.
Yeah. So basically, like, if you're given a great voice for singing, yeah, and then you don't make use of it in some positive way or another to contribute to your community or something, whatever, that's wasting a gift.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's an interesting concept. That's that I kind of like. I kind of like.
Or the. You know what just popped into my head? My head,
Your
hide,
hide.
head, hide, my ass. That would be my ass. What popped into my ass?
Oh God, I don't want to know.
Popped into my ass. Large needle.
Wherever that came from.
That's something that happened at school, I imagine.
Wherever you imagine. Yeah.
So, things I have problems with. Obvious contradictions that people don't see as obvious. Like setting double standards. Buying your own clothes from the most expensive shops. And buying your granddaughter's clothes from the charity shop. Bothers me.
Does she do that? Does she buy her clothes from the most expensive shops?
Yes.
No. Okay.
Johnson's Woolen Mill, Cashmere Centre, and that's a very specific example. But there are other household name special brand places that I forget what they're called. I don't things like Asher's or
Yeah.
Stewarts of Midlothian, or that's
I
just.
think she gets her clothes from charity shops sometimes as well, though.
No. No, she goes specifically to the expensive shops to get her own clothes.
Okay.
And she goes
Christie's.
specifically to the charity shops to get clothes for her grandchildren.
Mhm.
And if that isn't the Black Lady of Wall Street, right? If that isn't, to a certain extent, miserly. But it's not completely, because miserly would be not buying anything for yourself, really, that you need to buy. But that bothers me, because why would you, like, that would be like buying the most expensive coffee for yourself, but buying the cheapest coffee for other people. That bothers me a lot.
It's a bit like in that movie that we watched about the Christmas tree farm, when the woman was putting away the cans of beans. She's like, "Oh, these are for the food bank, and these are for us. Remember, the good ones are for us, and the bad ones are for the food bank."
Oh, and the kids get them mixed up, and they give the good ones to the
To the food bank, yeah.
Oh, and she freaks out.
And then in the middle of the film they go bankrupt, and they end up in the same food bank.
With their own cans of beans,
And they
which have
get
been
their own
marked
can
'cause
of
they've-
beans,
'cause
yeah.
they've been marked,
And they're like, "Oh,
they
check
know
this out."
and they know it's their own cans.
And they're like, "Oh.
That was a great
We've been giving the wrong cans to the food bank the entire time." Like, it's I can't remember whether they put the good ones or the bad ones to the food bank, but it's a good point that it makes in the movie when they get to eat their own shit. Yeah, it's a good.
Eat their own shit.
It's a good film. It's a good film, and it's so realistic as well.
Yeah, that's why it's so good, isn't it?
Because it's like that's exactly what would happen, or what could happen. If a wealthy man loses his job and tries to pretend that nothing's happening. Because that's how people get into lies, isn't it? They think it starts with like a little white lie. They think, "Oh well, I can pull this off for a little while because I'm sure that I'm gonna get a job straight away." So they don't need to know that, just to protect them from stress.
Well,
And as it
there's a lot of
stretches
issues.
out in the movie, and he's not getting a new job, it's getting deeper into the lie, And then the deeper you get into the lie, the more difficult it is to tell the truth, isn't it? Because then he would have to admit that it's been going on for ages.
Well, it's hard for people to downsize. That's the first thing.
Mm.
And the second thing is you can end up in the falling down scenario, which is the guy gets up in the morning and continues to go to work, but he doesn't have a job anymore,
Yeah.
and he just goes insane because he can't
Yeah.
let go and move on.
It's a
to
fail.
the
He
next
he
thing.
doesn't want to admit that he's failed, and he keeps hoping until the
Mhm.
last moment when it all crashes down. He keeps hoping that today it's gonna happen. Today I'm gonna get that job, and everything is going to be okay.
Yeah, the hope is
But it never happens. Yeah.
hope is if it's used in the wrong way, hope is powerfully destructive.
Yeah. I think if he had known from the beginning that that's what is going to happen, that he's not going to get another job for another 2 months or something, he would have told the truth from the beginning. But because he was hoping that he was going to get a new job straight away, it's the bus stop mentality. It's going to happen now. No, it's going to happen now. And I'm not letting go of that because it's got to happen.
There's so just from my clients, there's the decisions, and I don't know quite how this relates to what you're talking about, but the inability to change is paramount in a lot of people's failures, because people don't realize that the decisions they make when they're 20 are even more powerful when they're 40 than when they're 20,
Mm.
because that decision has set you down a road, and you'll be even further off course by the time you're 40 than you were when you're 20 if it's the wrong road.
Yeah.
And that's really scary, because
Mhm.
so many people are trying to manage around 40 keeping on the same road.
Mm.
And I see this with some of my clients. I see this where they're like, well, we set up the business and now it's 20 years down the line, and we're now trying to manage our own situation. And you wonder if they're getting anywhere, or they're just reorganizing stuff. They're just reorganizing the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's a classic example.
It's a bit like with relationships, though, isn't it? Sometimes you get into a relationship that's not completely right, and you just keep going because you're thinking things are gonna change, or things are gonna get better, and things are gonna progress.
Well, that's
And the further down the path you are, the harder it is to get off it.
well, this complete. The thinking is never as powerful as doing. If you don't act. So the idea that I know what you're making, I know the point you're making. I just want to highlight the fact that thinking things are going to get better is a terrible way to live life, because the only things that matter are the things that you do, because everything else just stays in your head as an idea that never becomes realized. And it's I don't know. I'm always trying to look for helpful things that I can pass on to my clients, and I'm always trying to look at what's happening around about me. And one of the things that's been on my mind a lot recently is something which is contradictory, which is speed of action matters. And that means doing things
Straight away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it matters. It
Mhm.
really does matter more than people realize. And people tend to think, they've got time, and that might be right for other people, but it's not right for me. I mean, it doesn't work for me. Thinking I've got time is so negative to me personally. Whereas I don't think I've ever benefited in my life from thinking I've got time. I don't think I've ever really benefited from that.
I think that if you are caught with a thought, whether it's in your business or in your relationship or anywhere really, where you think, I made a wrong decision in the past, I should have gone a different direction while I still could, but it's too late now. It means it's the perfect time to stop and start going that different direction. Because I think that people often think that, people often like, oh, I chose the wrong career 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I should have chosen something completely different, but it's too late now, so I just have to make do with what I've chosen.
That's interesting. See, I don't agree with that.
No?
No. I'm not saying that's wrong. I think that perspective is right for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the right thing to do for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't agree with that, because in certain situations that would suggest just never investing in the long term. You'd never invest in the long term, and perhaps
You mean it would mean giving up at the first opportunity?
you'd given up. You never get to the end. You'd never get to the end of anything. You'd never invest for the long term.
Yes, but
Every
if you're...
time you would never get to the top of the mountain. Every time
I
you come
understand,
to a
but
new
if you start...
kind of tricky bit, you'd go, oh fuck this, I'll go back to the bottom. Okay.
No, but if you start something, yeah, and then in 5 years you think, I should have stopped when I first considered it. And then you keep on going. And then in 10 years you're thinking, I should have stopped 5 years ago when I considered it. And then you go on 15 years and you're thinking, I should have stopped those 5 or 10 years ago when I was considering it, because this is not working. And it's never got better.
Yeah.
Then just waiting, waiting and seeing if I can still make do with it. It's like it always seems like it's too late to make that decision, but as you move on through time, it seems like maybe it was the right time back then, but now it's too late.
First of all, it's never too late to make a decision that you need to make.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to change everything. I'm just saying it's never too late to make a decision that you need to make.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you have to change everything. Because I am more and more orientated towards the fact that there's a whole lot of shit coming that we don't know about.
Well, obviously. I mean, that's life. It's called life.
Yeah, but you used the word. Okay, use the word obviously, like you know what it is. We don't know.
No.
We don't know what it is.
No,
right?
I know for sure that I don't know what is coming.
Yeah,
That's called life.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
Right? My point is that what is coming can be a result of what you do,
Yes.
or what you don't do,
Yes.
or a big change that you make, or a little change that you make.
Yes.
And as a result, it doesn't matter what the fuck you do as long as you do something. It doesn't fucking matter, because some person can change something and it have a whole series of bizarre, obscure
Events.
events and dominoes fall down. I mean, think about people selling stuff through eBay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone in some place that you don't know, somewhere, has done something at some point in time that suddenly becomes relevant to you, right? Let's say you're looking for some headphones you want to buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you go on eBay and you look for who's selling, and somebody's decided to sell their headphones
Mm.
that they bought 2 years ago when they were passing through X shop, that were put in the shop by somebody stocking something on the shelf, that were, ordered by somebody who works in an office somewhere, that were made by somebody who who designed by somebody who lives in a factory somewhere, who grew up in the middle of nowhere, and they were shipped halfway across the world in a giant container. And you get my point.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah. What the point is that all of these myriad of seemingly irrelevant things
Mm-hmm.
suddenly, because of a single decision, whoosh, become extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
And before that decision, none of those things mattered
Mm-hmm.
in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And more, I'm coming to the conclusion, and I think we believe everything that we tell ourselves that we need to believe. So this is not the only way of looking at things. But more and more, I see that as being extremely important and something that people misunderstand. They tend to think that things are fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're much more flexible than people realize. I think that there's a whole bunch of stuff is going to happen in everybody's day everybody who goes out and does something and makes a decision.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch of things that are going to happen that are completely unpredictable,
Mm-hmm.
that lead to a whole bunch of other things that are completely unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've bought something and I thought, oh, okay, this will be useful for this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't use it for that. I use it for something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whoa, that's changed the course
Mm-hmm.
or the direction of something. And
Mhm.
I think that we're led to believe that everything is planned and organized. And I think in a business perspective, everyone should try to do that. But this human element is so variable and essentially unpredictable
Mm-hmm.
because of human creativity, individuality, and the ability to change direction.
That's, you know,
I think that's just an epic thought to have.
I think that that's kind of what so many writers are trying to capture in their writings to a certain extent. That element of unpredictable. I think that's the ultimate dilemma, isn't it? That's why religion exists. Again, getting back to religion. Seeing all those dominoes as something that's by design rather than by accident, because of that realization that all these little dominoes have to come together for something to happen, and in certain situations it might seem to people that has happened for you, you know, like if I need those headphones, yeah, it might seem as if the universe just worked that chain
Oh, so that's yeah. I
for
don't like that
something to
perspective.
happen. I know it's arrogant and narcissistic, but that's how I
Well,
think.
that's just the way it's meant to be. Like,
I think
no?
that's kind of the other side of looking at things, the religious side of looking at things. You know,
Well,
that all these
that's
little actions have been brought together to create this positive experience or negative
well.
experience.
It
or
helps to think that you've got help.
Mhm.
Well, that's the basic principle.
Sometimes you just think that there's too many coincidences for something to work out.
You mean to work out or not work out?
Both. Doesn't matter what you're looking at. Depends on what you're looking at, but usually to work out. Too many coincidences. You know? Like, oh, what's the odds of this happening and then this happening and then this happening and then this happening at the same time that comes up with this thing, this one thing that I'm needing right now in this situation? What's the odds? Somebody up there must be in favor of this happening.
Do you know what the greatest odd is against? The greatest single odd is actually against you existing.
But yes, obviously.
Well,
Yeah.
you say obviously, but like
'Cause you're gonna die.
99.9. No, I mean the chance of a person actually existing is something like several billion to one
I know.
of just living,
I know.
because the highest probability is that the thing will not exist.
I know.
I mean, that's insane.
If you think about all the little coincidences again that had to come together for you to be able to exist, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You've got the size of the
Well-
planet, the
well,
speed
that's-
of rotation,
look,
the
look,
distance from the
That's
sun.
the point I was making about the
Yeah.
headphones. That's the point I
Yeah.
was making. Is
Yeah.
that the actual probability that this event would happen
Yeah.
is billions to one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's mind blowing.
Yeah. I know.
Because then people will think it's just the way that it is. It's like, well, no. It's far more variable than people realize.
Look how the body works. I mean, just look at the millions of processes that go on in your body daily
Well, yeah,
that keep you alive, and you just take it for granted. You don't even realize it's happening, right?
yeah. Well, it's just, if life is so predictable, then predict when that person is going to die. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
like
we don't
I
know.
have no idea what chemical processes are going on in my cells right now. I mean, how do I even have the right to be alive if I don't know what's going on in my body, right?
Oh well, there comes the responsibility and the understanding that the body is just
Yeah,
the
it's so
conduit through
ungrateful.
which we travel.
It's so ungrateful of me to exist without appreciating and realizing every single thing that's happening in my cells, and how they live and reproduce, and how this universe exists, and
How they're struggling to survive, and people will poison themselves to death.
I know.
Your body is struggling consistently to keep you alive
Yeah.
and moving, and people will
And you just decide to-
sabotage it.
Yeah, sabotage it. Absolutely. And it's these cells are like these cells in your body is like we're working our fucking asses off here, and what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah. We're trying to repair the damage. Stop making more of it.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, you're doing nothing but making your own life harder.
Yeah. So you've got it's like, and again it's one point of the religion, right? I don't know why I keep getting back to it today, but it also makes a point in the Christian religion is your body as a temple, and you have to respect it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it has been given to you by whoever.
Your body is a temple, and your mind is a god.
Anyway, you have to respect it, because not respecting it and damaging it is, again, wasting a gift. Right? And it makes complete sense. And if you think about how genius everything is, I mean, even the spit in your mouth right now
Mm-hmm.
is the result of the most genius processes that go on, that are so complex that scientists have no fucking clue half the time what is actually happening, right?
Or they don't. They get just as confused as everybody else, and they get just as wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
As everybody
And
else.
they have theories that are half guessed and half assumed, you know.
Well, that's not science. It's not science's job to. That's fake science. There's a difference. You know, the scientist's job is to study the empirical evidence and present the results. It's not that the scientist's job is.
Yes, but there's still
know what I'm saying.
theories, okay?
Yeah,
Sometimes if you don't have the answers, the best you can do is assume. And
That's
lots of
not
the
science.
time,
That's not
I
science,
know,
though.
I know, but lots of the time,
That's not science.
lots
though.
of the times, that's what the doctors have to do.
That's not science, though.
Yes, I know.
But that's a bad practice.
But lots of the times, it's the only thing that you have that you can
But
because they don't understand everything yet, you know. Sometimes they have to assume, especially not a scientist, not a theorist, not somebody who writes books about what's there and what's their empirical evidence and what's the studies
yeah,
say,
but the doctors
but
need.
the people who practice it, if they don't have the answers, and they've looked everywhere.
Well, you have to say I don't have the answers. For God's sake, you have to be honest. I mean,
Yes, I know, but you have to also be able to make decisions based on the best knowledge that you have, even though you don't know everything. in order to save life.
You have to make decisions based on. I'm thinking about that. Yes.
I mean,
Okay,
you're in a
okay,
surgery and a
okay,
person is dying, right? And you're not exactly sure what's happening, but you have to make your best guess because
Yeah,
it's
not
better
every
than not
decision
doing
is an
anything.
extreme circumstance. I understand that. Not
Yeah.
every incision, whatever.
Incision.
Not every decision.
It's because we're talking about surgeons.
Do you know that decision and incision have the same root in Latin? Anyway.
Well, you have to
Um,
make a decision to make an incision, I
No,
suppose.
that's the point. The point, an incisive move. Yeah, not every decision is made under such great pressure, but every decision should be.
I
made
understand that many
carefully.
times is, yeah.
It's quite important. And you can't expect great results from guessing. I mean, there's a difference between an intelligent guess and a stupid guess. Yeah,
Mhm.
but you can't go around guessing and expecting great results,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you can't just close your eyes and blindly point at the board and pick the winner.
Mhm.
That's just luck. It's not any way to do anything. Really, it'd be like flying a plane blindfolded or something, right?
I want to take Will to a physiotherapist.
Yes.
Do you think
Why
that's a
did
good
you
idea?
draw a leaf on your arm?
Just because I felt like it. I had the sudden urge.
The ink is dissipating.
Yeah, I've noticed. It's probably the chemicals are probably getting sucked in.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening next.
Anyway, I was thinking about taking Will to the physiotherapist because I mean, I can do stretching with them and I can do guess work, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. You know?
Yeah, our dance class would be just as good.
Because I know what's the problem, but I'm not 100% sure how to
Our
approach
dance
it.
class will work on posture.
You think? That'd be cool. It's just that he's... I just know 100% that his core is weak and his pelvis is in the wrong position and his muscles are shortened and as a result and his feet are flat as a result and it's just wrong. It's like a dominoes again. It's just ding ding
Yeah,
ding.
well,
ding,
this is
ding.
the last stage of possible correction as well. 9 to
Yeah.
12 is
Yeah, I get that.
the
I get that.
last opportunity.
It has to be dealt with. Yes, absolutely. That's why I was saying that dance class is a great idea, but maybe physio would be able to suggest corrective exercises rather than me just Googling them.
It doesn't matter. Go forward. Do something.
Yeah, I shall.
Move forward. What time do you want to go to the gym?
Now.
You can't because it's not open. It's not open
Yeah, I
until
want to
10.
get up and get the
Is
kids
it,
up.
or is it the library? It's not open till 10.
No, it's gym and library, but usually people are earlier in the gym. The guy told me he's usually there like 30 minutes before 10 and he's happy to allow people in. But it doesn't matter. What we have to do is we have to stop, get up, get the kids up, give them breakfast, and then we can go, and that's not going to be earlier than 10, I don't think.
No, that would be a world record if it was earlier than 10.
Exactly. So,
Why are the grandparents up and about? What are they doing this morning? They didn't get out of bed until later.
Dietko's going out.
So what does that mean?
I'm not sure where he's going. I think he's got some kind of car thing going on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if Babka's coming with him or not, but then he's coming back in the afternoon. And he said around 3 or 4 o'clock he's going to be back. No, he's golfing.
What?
He's golfing.
Are you serious? He never plays golf.
Yes, he's golfing.
No.
That's where he's going. Yeah. So he's golfing from like 11 to like 4 or something. 10 to 3 or something. And then they have dinner at Jonathan's this evening. Yeah, and then they have tomorrow evening they have dinner with Barry. Barry's got sauna.
And they have to take their swimsuits.
Yeah.
Don't want to be a fly on the wall. There. Right. There we go.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in a sauna.
No, you'd end up roasted. Anyway,
love it.
roasted and toasted.
I would do Bikram yoga.
Now, could you say that forwards?
Bikram yoga.
What's that?
That's the hot yoga. That's yoga that you do in the sauna.
That's just sitting in a sauna.
No, it's exercising in a sauna. It's supposed to be good for you. Suppose.
Maybe.
Great, I have to stretch.
It's killing two birds with one stone, isn't it?
And start living. Yeah, it's just time management.
Time management is funny. That's funny. It's very funny. Right.
Will you learn me how to drive today?
I'll teach you how to speak English. If you like.
Will you learn me how to drive tomorrow? Your mom was like, I'll get Murray to call the insurance company tomorrow, but I don't think she'll be awake for her to do that to him.
My mother be awake?
Yeah.
My mother was up at whatever that was. I was up before 5.
Yeah,
so
but she always goes back to sleep, doesn't she? She went back to bed.
Did she?
Otherwise we would hear the telly if she was awake.
You didn't hear the telly? You seriously did not hear the telly?
Did you have the telly on
For
already?
an hour. It was blasting out for an hour.
Really? When?
It was being picked up in the background on the audio.
Really? I've completely ignored it. I guess I just don't
You're
realize
just
it
not
anymore.
aware
No, not anymore.
of what's happening around about.
Oh, well.
I'm jealous of people who are not aware of certain things.
Yeah, I was jealous of you not being aware of the telly last night when you were fast asleep.
Well, I was sleeping for fuck's sake.
And it
What am I
was
supposed to...
blasting out. It's really funny, because remember when you used to drink yourself to sleep?
To death.
And you'd say, oh, I have to drink because otherwise my sleep is really light and I wake up and
Yes.
there's dogs and things and blah, blah, blah.
Yes, that's true.
And now that you don't drink at all, you sleep better than any time before because kids are shouting and your mother's television is blasting out and you sleep.
That's a great example of selective information.
Yeah.
Because that's true, but it also ignores one very important factor.
Yeah.
That I get up at 4:44.
Uh-huh. So you're tired or?
Yeah, I told you I'd help you to speak English if you want, right? if you wanted it.
My English is perfectly understandable. You, on the other hand, have missed here.
I hear. I forgot.
Right there, about 3 of them.
Yeah?
2 of them are grey.
There.
Uh-huh.
Those ones.
Yeah.
Ow.
You've got 2 more.
I just pour them up. Oh, they're there. Where are they? There?
There. Uh-huh. How can you even do that?
I just pulled them out. Just pulled them out my neck.
How can you do that without it?
Ow.
Freaking hell.
Is that them?
Just freaky.
Did I get them all out?
Not all.
Oh, there's still more. There's only 3. I've just pulled out 4.
Oh, sorry.
Is that one as well?
Yeah. Didn't count them.
There you go.
And there's one a bit higher up.
Oh, fuck off. I would have pulled my ear off or something.
Here. Right here. What?
Stop poking me.
It's there.
What?
It's great.
Good, I'll let it grow.
Oh, there's another one there. Look, down there.
Stop it.
What? Somebody has to tell you.
Well, let's have a look and see if we've got any hairs that... right, fair enough. Say bye to the people of the planet.
Bye.
Right. Dude, done.